Yo guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I will be talking about The Last of Us Season 2 Episode 7, the season finale, Convergence. Alright, so obvious spoilers ahead. If you haven't seen the episode, please go back, watch it, and watch the entire season again if you want to, and then come back to this video because I will be talking about spoilers of the entire first half of the video game, but also the series in and of itself, and of course this episode. Let's start with the episode. Same as with the first season, it isn't my favorite episode. I thought I could have done it a little better, but I do think it's still good, and I do think it will grow on me even more the longer I think about it. There are some things I definitely like. There are some revelations I now got what made me care for it a bit more than I already did. I already cared for it quite a lot, so that's really helpful in some cases, and there are also some things that I didn't like. Let's talk about the thing that I have talked about in every single episode, because this game adaptation is full of them. It's deviations, it's changes from the game. And I have to say, there are some things like the entire last final scene with Abby, completely the same. The scene right before that, I Let You Live, that scene, completely the same. Exactly. Mwah. It was perfect. It was beautiful. It was perfection. It was absolute, to the absolute minute details, perfection. Loved it. There are some things though that I really did not like, and that's mainly has to do with Jesse. Is it just me? But in the game, I didn't love his character. I liked his character. I liked him enough to care for the moment when he got pinned and when he got shot in the head by Abby. I cared for that moment. I cared enough about him to care about that. And I wasn't completely at that point yet during the entire series or during the entire season to care so much for Jesse that I would care for his death so much. But in this episode, they absolutely butchered it. I mean, I know Ellie and him had their differences in the game as well, but why was he so incredibly douchey in this? I really did not like that. I really didn't like how big of a fucking douchebag the guy is. That was something I did not expect to happen. I was like, okay, I get you. Why? Why are you being such an asshole all the time? Like, you can completely get where he's coming from, like him having the revelation that he's about to be a father and that he needs to live as well. The way they did that scene that Dina said, I can't die and I don't want the alcohol, was great. I mean, I think everyone, except for me, because I'm oblivious, would get the hints that she was pregnant, but you know, it was something interesting, it was something nice, and I get where Jesse was coming from, but I just didn't like how big of an asshole that he was. And then they shoehorned one little scene in the end, which was also in the game, I guess, is where we actually do have that moment of caring for Jesse. But it wasn't enough for me to fully justify it for when it inevitably happened a half second later. I really didn't care for it anymore because that man was such an asshole throughout the entire season for half of it, especially near the ending, especially in that last episode. I really didn't like it. So I can't pinpoint it yet if it was the series or just the actor or just the casting of the character or just anything else, but I really disliked him. And maybe that was the purpose. But if it was the purpose that we disliked him so much, then I really didn't like it because, well, you are supposed to kind of like him. You know, he's not a bad guy. He's a good guy, as they said in the show. So, yeah, that was something I really didn't like. There's also this one scene that confused me quite a bit. It's whenever she's on the boat and the boat flips over and she doesn't fall out, but she is flatlined and goes to crash. In the game, she just immediately crashes against the Ferris wheel, so she is where she's supposed to be. And in this one, they didn't do that, which was like, oh, so we are not going to Abby and confront Owen and Mel. And then you had the entire scene with the Seraphites where she got hung up. and then that scene got cut off because the village got attacked. That's something you will probably see a bit more of following season, if I remember the game correctly. So that's something you will see more about, what the fuck is happening over there, and that's going to be a very interesting season. But yeah, she goes to the Sarah fight, she gets hung, and then she just doesn't. I think the best thing about that little sequence was the kid just being like, that was brutal. I did not expect a kid to do that, but I am very happy that they did that, because that shows that even the children are being crazy-minded about everything, and that even manipulated. That was the word I was looking for. So I really like that, but why was the scene there? Like, it had no payoff, it had no start, it had nothing. It was just a tease, like, hey, there's something happening in the village, there's something going to happen, but they already teased it with other scenes this episode. So I was like, why are you doing this? Why? Especially because a minute later she actually goes to the Ferris wheel and she actually goes to the aquarium, so it really doesn't matter in the end. A fun little detail that I found that I think everyone saw in that sequence whenever she entered the aquarium is when she dried off the bullets. That was something I was thinking of like a minute earlier when the weapon was just there in the sand, and well, I was thinking like, okay, I don't know how weapons work, but when it's wet, the gunpowder, I don't know if they still use gunpowder. I think in the bullets they do, yeah, in the bullets they use gunpowder, but in the gun itself they don't. So I was like, okay, does it still work if it's that wet? So I really appreciated them for including the little sequence where she dried off the bullets. I was like, okay, that answers my question. I don't know if anyone else had that question. It was just something on my mind, and then they immediately resolved that. So great attention to detail on that. So yeah, that was awesome. That little sequence was interesting. I don't really know why it was in there, but it was a good sequence. And, you know, you got the tease. So that's that. But for a finale episode, I do think it was pretty fine. It doesn't really feel like a finale. It feels like just a stepping off point. It definitely feels like they are not setting anything up for next week. But I don't know if it's enough of a finale to justify having to wait 1, 2, or maybe 3 years until we get the other season. Like, I don't know, have they started filming yet? Are they finished filming yet? Are they doing something with it yet? I have no idea, which is the same problem I had with Fast X, because, well, that ended on a fucking cliffhanger, and then we never heard anything of it ever again. So, are they filming? Are they releasing? When is that coming? Same problem, same thing. Like, a cliffhanger, which is a good cliffhanger, but maybe not enough to justify a wait for more than a year for the next season. So I was like, interesting stepping off point, very much expected stepping off point. I really thought that they were going to cut it in half in there. So that was going to, well, good job, Sven. So I kind of saw that coming, but I still felt like it was a little rushed in the end. I mean, they did everything with Mel and Owen and then coming back, and they did everything around that in around 10 minutes, maybe even less. Which I thought I was like, okay, this episode is about to enter its end. Is it going to be fucking rushed? Because then I'm going to be very mad. And it goes fast, but it isn't rushed. So props to that. They made that kind of good. Really kind of good. It's because I just didn't expect them to be able to nail that, but they absolutely did. So good job. That was something interesting. And yeah. The scene with Owen and Mel, it goes so fast, and it was, I don't know if that was in the game as well, but in the game it was way more brutal, because that is the thing I really adore with what they did with this episode. Let's talk about that first. It's just that they really started to justify why Ellie is the way that she is in the show, and apart from the game version. Like, this is a completely different Ellie, a completely different way of reacting to things, but also not. Like, she reacts to a lot of situations in a very different way. And throughout the entire season, or maybe even the first season, people have been complaining about it, and people will now continue complaining about it because, well, it's not the same Ellie. But there are some small fractions, and those small fractions, in my opinion, are very real. Like her seeing that Nora actually had a point and then telling her where that she was and her completely forgetting Tommy. Perfect reasoning, perfectly normal. She isn't angry all the time. She's conflicted with herself in this, and that's something you feel more in the show than I thought you felt in the game up until a later point in time, where we are behind the second part of the 3-day story, which is good, which is nice, and they do that a little more streamlined in here. And I think the reason for that is mainly because it's a show and not a game, so you can't connect with these characters by just playing with them for hours on straight. So that's something really great. I really like the way Bella Ramsey portrays her scenes in this episode, especially because that just shows her who her character of Ellie actually is, especially with the scene with Mel. Because that scene, I thought it was pretty rushed, I thought it was pretty fast, I thought it was a little bit too fast actually, because we haven't seen these guys so much, but then again, I only know these guys from the games, and then we see them a lot more because, of course, well, you spend more time with them because the fact that you're playing through it. This one is just, they come, they do the bit from point to me exactly where he's going to point me, or otherwise we'll be in problems. That was fun, that was interesting, it was a cool callback, and then the shot, of course, which was great. Owen, straight up dead, which was unintentionally intentional. I kind of like that, but the thing that sold me on that scene, the thing that made all the abbreviations worth it, normally she just brutally murders Mel as well. She still has a reaction to her being pregnant, of course, but she brutally does it. In this one, it was completely unintentional, and I hated it in the first second, but after that second, I forgave them for it, and I thought it was one of the best choices that they could have made, because that scene was powerful as fuck. I loved that scene. The only problem with it is that I thought it went on a little bit too long, but it was also kind of heartbreaking, and I kind of loved the way Ellie reacted to it, and the way Ellie became super conflicted about it, because with Dina and Mel having the same problem and her brutally murdering Mel on accident is something that will do something to her character in the next seasons. So that is going to be awesome, and I really am thankful for the way they did that scene, because that was really, really good. As a series itself, I do think Season 1 was a lot stronger, but that's because Season 1 had a full story. This is only half a story, so there's no resolve to anything yet. That will come in the next season. I do understand the stepping off points. I do feel like some things were rushed, especially in that 5th episode. But I also do feel like they had the perfect ending for half a story like this, but their only complaint about the way they ended it is us not knowing when Season 3 is about to hit. I also know that Craig Mazin or Neil Druckmann said that they probably need 4 seasons to tell the entire story, which would be a lot. I think we have a perfect point right now. Just make 3 episodes about the 3 days and then 4 episodes about everything that comes afterwards. Maybe even 4 episodes of everything that happens in those 3 days and then 3 episodes of what happens afterwards. I think you have a very good point of where you should go with these characters for their next of the season. Of course, it ended with Abby, so now we're going to see the perspective of Abby of those 3 days. And I'm maybe going to say something very controversial, but I can't fucking wait for that, because I do genuinely think that the scenes, or that the things that happened to Abby in those 3 days are indefinitely more interesting than everything that happened or anything that happened to Ellie. Of course, Ellie had a more emotional story. Abby had the most interesting one. Like everything that happened to her and everything that she went through and everything her character, how her character changed in these 3 days was a phenomenal, sublime experience to play through. I loved that. It made me like Abby after she brutally murdered Joel, and I couldn't forgive her for that. I still can't forgive her for that, but I absolutely can see where she's coming from. If they nail that in the next season as well, it's gonna be great for me. And I do think a lot of more people will like Abby if they nail it next season. Are they gonna do it? I don't know, because we have no fucking clue when it comes out. Alright, so I really love The Last of Us. It's a phenomenal adaptation. In this season, they did a lot more abbreviations or deviations from the original source material, of course, so that's that. But I still think that the deviations that they made completely made sense, worked for the story for the better, and I do think most characters, apart from Jesse, are done in such a phenomenal, exceptional way that I really like how the show is portraying it. I am a big lover of The Last of Us Season 2, and I can't wait for Season 3. I do see some of the criticisms, and I do recognize Ellie not being like Ellie in the games, but for me, for one, I stopped giving a shit about that. I just am happy with what they portrayed with it in this season. It's a good season finale, but I will need something more, and I will need it pretty fast, because now they have the momentum. They can't afford to lose it with an ending that's like this. It could have been more interesting. Of course, well, we don't know if she killed Ellie in that point. So that is that. Of course, if you have played the game, you know if she did or not. But there's a very interesting sequence coming, and I feel like that is a great way to start next season. What they're not gonna do, because they're gonna go to Seattle day one, of course, and I can't wait for them to go there. Alright, what did you think of this episode, and what did you think of the entire series? Please let me know in the comments down below, because I'm really excited to hear your opinion on it. I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you, and bye bye.